Okay, folks, saddle up, let's ride. In the opening of today's show, infant infection rates are on the rise, but why? You'll get their take and my take. Right after that, Susie Cohen is here to talk about natural supplements that might help ease pain. After that, Dr. Christine Salter, a dear friend of mine, a physician in St. Louis, is talking about herbs that tend to slow the rate of cancer in some cases. This is exciting. Then I'm going to be talking about if you have these mycotoxins from food you've eaten or antibiotics in your gut, how do you bind them out naturally? Everything on today's show is natural. Dr. Len Lopez is talking about 5 Steps a Day, a brand new book he's written. Are you ready to go? Giddy up. For the past 45 years, I have dedicated my life and my whole career to finding the root cause of disease. And I now know with certainty that we must play a role in our own health care. I'm a self-care advocate, and you know what? Every time you change your diet for the better, exercise, or swallow a nutritional supplement, so are you. Now welcome to Know the Cause. Over the weekend, I do so much reading, it's just incredible. And a website called studyfinds.org references the scientific literature and then gives their take on the scientific literature. An article that just came out addressed this, cesarean versus vaginal births. And the headline, let me show it to you, says, children born via C-section face higher risk of being hospitalized with infection. Now, to most mothers and most dads, well, of course, there's a reason that God made the human female anatomy the way he did. The child comes through the vaginal tract loaded with good bacteria. And then this article said something I questioned, but the uterus and bathing in amniotic fluid, this child, lots of good bacteria, good yeast. That's the way God set it up. So sometimes it's important, an emergency C-section, etc. A cut is done and the child is just lifted out, so they don't go through the birth canal. That begged a question. You know, probiotics 25, 30 years ago were so controversial. And today we know if you're gonna prescribe an antibiotic, doc, prescribe or recommend a probiotic afterwards. It restores that good God-given bacteria in the gut, okay? So let's walk down here. New research warns that babies born via C-section may be more likely to develop dangerous infections later in childhood. You and I have talked a lot about the abuse of antibiotics that's happening in America today. It's just that simple. We are abusing antibiotics and the danger of that. Too many antibiotics, too much death of the good. Antibiotics are indiscriminate bacteria killers. They kill the bad, thank God. They kill the good. Yikes. What's it like without that good bacteria? Lots of tummy problems, lots of serious diseases. Vaginal birth. During vaginal birth, the baby comes into contact with the normal bacteria from the mother's gut. I don't understand this, but it was in that study. Certainly from the mother's vagina, the vaginal tract loaded with good bacteria. But I just quoted them. Exit gut and put uterus, because this child is just bathed in good bacteria. Why is this good bacteria so important, and how does it prevent childhood infections? You know, it fascinates me, but I gotta tell you, more and more pediatricians are now understanding this. Isn't that amazing that they didn't 20, 30, 40 years ago? That they didn't question, gee, when you have a cesarean birth, why do these kids get so many infections? We just don't understand it. Thank God, in the year 2021, scientists are starting to say, oh, that's because the way God made the human body, the vaginal tract has good bacteria in it. Child needs to pass through that. Eyes, ears, nose, throat, mouth, the good bacteria, okay? Differences in microbial exposure due to birth mode, which can persist for months or possibly years, I believe it's decades, may contribute to the increased risk of infection-related hospitalization following a cesarean birth. Okay, makes total sense to me. The child is not bathed in the good bacteria. Folks, we're just finding the important properties of these good bacteria. It's so important. They make the B vitamins. So people who need supplemental B vitamins Usually we're cesarean birth or we're on lots of antibiotics as a child. Our microbiomes can affect the development of postnatal immune responses, including infections. The microbiome can also be optimized by postnatal factors such as breastfeeding and early skin-to-skin contact after birth, said the lead author. This, bad bacteria are very, very bad, but good bacteria are essential to life, are very, very good. Sometimes cesarean births are necessary, but passing through mother's good bacterial vaginal terrain sets her child up for a more healthy future with fewer infections. Remember, 70 to 80% of that child's immune system is in their intestines, so feed them well. I well understand, folks, sometimes emergency C-sections are necessary. That being the case, I would sit down with a probiotic, knowledgeable pediatrician, a supplemental pediatrician who knows supplements, and say, look, we had to do a cesarean section. Can I start this child on a good probiotic right now, hoping to coat the interior of their intestine, right, for good health? Thank you so much. I hope this helps, folks. People need to know this. Doctors are starting to know it, and that's a very good thing.
If you suffer from arthritis and take pain relievers all day long, you might have other options. I'd consider 2 supplements, and you can probably take them with your medicine, but do ask your doctor to be sure. The first one is Boswellia. This is an herb that acts similar to a popular anti-inflammatory drug that's sold by prescription. And we're not going to talk about names here, but you know what I'm talking about. This drug is so popular, it's used to relieve pain and inflammation all over your body. It takes about a week or 2 for Boswellia to kick in, and you can take it as a liquid extract or a pill. The second supplement that supports joint health is Astaxanthin. It's known as the world's strongest antioxidant, and it's been studied for its effect on arthritis too. So if your joints are a little creaky or you have pain, the key is to relieve inflammation and to reduce inflammatory cytokines in the body. Boswellia and Astaxanthin are powerful at doing this, so ask your doctor if they're right for you. Both are sold at health food stores nationwide and online. I'll see you next time.
Folks, I want you to meet many of you for the first time, Dr. Christine Salter. The reason I want to introduce her to you is because of what she's doing with patients that other doctors aren't. Now, by way of background, she is a naturopath, an osteopath, a chiropractic doctor, and a medical doctor. She has all of those qualifications and degrees. She is in St. Louis. Dr. Salter, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
It's so wonderful to see you again. They're on WebMD, they're talking about an oncologist who says, you know, when they ask me about the cancers, the IVs, the traditional approaches, I'm totally comfortable with that. But he said, inevitably, the patients want to know about herbs, supplements, diet, and I don't know what to tell them. Thank you for being here. I know you see and do telemedicine with, you know, a lot of patients who are quite sick. You still do that, although you say, I want to do the physical myself because I find things sometimes doctors don't, correct?
Yes, you know, I do telemedicine. I do prefer to see the patient in person, and the reason is that very often they've seen a surgeon, they've seen an oncologist, and then I find something that's potentially serious, and so I feel that I should do my own physical if at all possible. So if they can come in, I'd very much prefer that. But I'm able to create a protocol through telehealth as long as I can get labs done where they are locally, and I can go ahead and create a protocol.
So teach me a little bit about nutrition, nutritional oncology, because the oncologists don't know about this. Case in point, you go in the office and get a sweet roll and a soda pop while you're getting your chemo. That doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly. So, you know, with cancer, it's a complex disease. I mean, we have the primary cancer, but what really kills patients, unfortunately, it's the spread of the cancer. It's the metastatic cancer for the most part, unless it's in a place like in the brain where it can't expand. But it's metastasis that does the demise. And so when I meet somebody my goal is to prevent metastatic spread in as much as possible. It's initiation and its spread. And nutrition impacts that because the cancer cells, in fact, what drives metastatic spread is cancer stem cells. They are a very small population of the bulk of the tumor, and they upregulate and change their metabolism. So they love sugar. Yes. They upregulate their receptors so they can take up as much sugar as possible. They change their metabolism so they can use glutamine, which is a breakdown of protein, and even wheat is a huge source of glutamine. So they change their metabolism so that they can keep going and self-replicate and produce more primary cells and then invade and do all these nasty things. So nutrition has to be a foundational part of the whole protocol to make sure we are addressing the cancer stem cells and impacting them, because that's what's going to drive the process.
And it's, folks, she not only sees cancer patients, I mean, autoimmune diseases. I was at her clinic here a few years ago. It is lovely. And I got to thinking, you know, I can only do so much on TV. I can teach nutrition and so forth. There are doctors whom I want you to meet, and you'll be meeting them within the next few months, that are friends of mine that could really assist you as an adjuvant to what your doctor is doing. Dr. Christine Salter, Dr. Salter, SALTER.com. Thank you, Dr. Salter, for being here today. Love your education.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Folks, by way of background, there are probably a couple of million fungi out there. Scientists have classified about 75,000 of them. And only about 300 or 400 of those are actually pathogenic. They can induce disease or symptom in man. And of those, these 300, 400 species make several poisons called mycotoxins. Inside our body, it can wreak havoc. It can look like cancer. It can look like diabetes. It looks like thyroid disease, okay? This is the drum I've been beating for 50 years, trying to teach not only us, but more importantly, our healthcare providers, that these fungal mycotoxins can mess people up. So how do we detox once inside our body? Let's go over that. Fungal poisons, about 300 species of fungi make poisonous mycotoxins. Many gain access to the inside of our body. Since these can cause many symptoms and diseases, detoxifying is important. I believe that our most common exposure to mycotoxins comes from, are you sitting down? Antibiotics, followed by cereal grains like corn and wheat. Peanut is another common offender. Yes, even here in America, okay? Detoxifying is done through binding. Certain products can bind onto these poisonous mycotoxins, making elimination of them possible. I really like Jasmine Brown at Great Plains Diagnostic Laboratories. She wrote a brilliant article. She found that the correct binder for specific mycotoxins is a challenge, but she references the scientific literature, hoping to educate readers on which of the 8 different binders seem to work best for each of the 8 different mycotoxin poisons. Okay, this was really a brilliant piece. It required a lot of work. Now, I just said there's probably 1,000 or more mycotoxins, but she took 8 pretty common ones that we're exposed to in corn and cereal grains and so forth, peanuts. And here was the end result of her work. 8 mycotoxins and 8 mycotoxin binders. These are good guys, the mycotoxin binders. So she's got aflatoxin, ochratoxin A, OTA, gliotoxin, sterigmatocystin, macrocyclic trichothecenes, ZEA, which is zearalenone, eniatin B, and citrinin. And then 8 mycotoxin binders, cholestyramine, charcoal, fiber in your diet, clay, glucomannan, chlorella, humic acid, and other acids, and probiotics. And she set out testing which of these seems to neutralize. Let's say I've eaten a lot of corn, got belly problems, I've got lumps all over my body, I want to detox. Look at this. Most relevant findings for we humans is what she found. Although all 8 bind to 1 or more mycotoxins, bentonite or zeolite clay, this is available online, bound to aflatoxins, these cause cancer, ochratoxin A, gliotoxins, and zearalenone. That's important. But look at probiotics, folks. Are you taking them? Probiotics, however, bound aflatoxins, gliotoxins, sterigmatocystin, ZEA, NE8 and B, and citrinin. So almost all, look, if you're taking some zeolite clay, if you're taking a good probiotic, that's your ticket out of much of this misery. Always tell your doctor what you're doing. The take-home message: exposure to fungal poisons is common. Strong immunity prevents mold and fungus-induced health problems. If you suspect fungus or mold-related health issues, tell your doctor. Ask if you can take a clay-based product like we just mentioned and probiotics. Fungus mold accelerate with carbohydrates and sugars in your diet. So ask your doctor if you can follow a low-grain, higher green and protein diet. In 14 days, friends, I've seen this hundreds of times in my career, maybe thousands. After 14 days, the 3-letter word wow applies. People would call me or come back and visit me at the hospital where I worked with all these doctors' patients and say, I can't believe, I had no idea that my shaking, my arthritis, my headaches, my pain, my health problems were linked to fungus. But when I eliminated it, got on a mycotoxin binder, changed my diet, wow. Hope that helps. Friends, I don't know, it might have been 20, 25 years ago, I first met my guest, Dr. Len Lopez. Len was a chiropractor in town, but he was an entrepreneur, and he was a 90-mile-an-hour guy. He'd see patients all day, and then at night, invent. He's put a new book together that we're crazy about here in Dallas, Texas. I want all of you to know about this. It's called 5 Steps a Day. And what this does is really chart your progress. One of the first books to chart your progress. Dr. Lopez, thank you so much. May I call you Len?
Yes, absolutely.
After all these years,
after all
we're
these
like
years.
brothers. It's a great read, and what I love about it is you get to look back. When was I feeling my best? Ooh, when I was eating this way, exercising. I mean, it's a brilliant thought. How'd you come up with that?
Well, it was years ago. I've always been doing in the health and fitness aspect of it, but and I would always tell my patients each week, if you want to get healthier, you need to take like 21 steps towards better health, because 3 days a week, times 7 meals or 3 meals in a day and 7 days in a week, 21 steps. And so I thought, but how we feed our body is one thing, but how do we feed our mind? How do we feed our spirit? And so the steps are just that: sleep, think, eat, physical, and spirit. It's just steps. That's what the acronym is for. And it's really just a tracking system to see how your habits are of eating and exercising. Are you trying to get healthy? Are you looking to get healthy and fit, and you're doing the proper eating each day? Are you getting into physical activity each day? How are you feeding your conscious and subconscious mind? How are you working those spiritual muscles? It's just a simple tracking system.
You said at home, I've known Len so long, he had twins. I remember when they were born, and they're now 13, little boy and girl, and then an 11-year-old son.
Yes.
And you said, I have stacks this high of charting my own progress, Doug. You were a dancer, you were a great boxer, you really sweat a lot. When and then you had twins. You didn't know sweating until you had twins. But you charted everything, and you said, sometimes, Doug, when the kids were all in bed, I'd go review those notes, and when I felt my best was when I was eating this way, exercising this way, and I go back and relive that time and feel good again. People don't think that way.
I was really big into journaling, and a lot of us know the value of journaling, right? And doing to-do lists, and that's all what the STEPS program is. It's an accountability program. That, are you eating properly for the day, for the week? Are you doing it? Are you getting any physical activity? Are you working those spiritual muscles throughout the week? And instead of going back each week or each month when I would journal, it would just just takes so long to read those pages. But each week, you know, you flip the page and you can see how many steps you took this week. Yeah, I did some stuff in my spiritual walk. I did some stuff for feeding my conscious mind, my subconscious mind. I ate right. I did some physical activity. So it's just a way to track your habits, your habits and attitudes for better health, wealth, and happiness, I think.
One of the things I've always loved about you, you had a very busy practice, almost hyperactive practice, because of who you are. You were actively involved in Olympics and things like that, working with other athletes. You invented something that I thought you'd be a billionaire today, and so I'd never see you again.
Yeah.
And that was the workhorse.
Right.
Always, this guy is an engineer, always inventing, always writing. And he comes up with things that I am so, the coffee additive,
Yeah, right.
brilliant.
Brewman,
I think this is amazing. What happened to the workhorse?
Still got the workhorse. That, you know, it's just it's a portable pull-up bar, and it's just for people who work out at home and trying to do push pull, which is kind of my workout, just push-ups and pull-ups, because you work, you know, ask anybody in the military, that's all they do is push-ups and pull-ups and everything. And so it's still around. We still have it. We've had some manufacturing headaches from overseas and trying to get it manufactured here near shore as well and everything, but it's a really good product out there.
Len, who needs 5 steps a day? Who needs this?
Well, anybody that's trying to, improve themselves. You know, yeah, it's a great self-help book, and you know, I'm not trying to be Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn, which are great self-help gurus out there, but it's just a new way of tracking your daily habits and everything. It's just a way of also just being able to chart it each and every day, and it's an accountability program that gives you feedback.
Folks, you can get this or other products we've talked about on the Entrepreneur's website, which is Dr. Len Lopez, DrLenLopez.com. A good friend always stays with you through life. Remember, we used to have lunch together, and we ate right. That was the Thank you so much, Len, for coming on today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Doug.
You bet. That's good. Really good. You know what I loved about today's show? I love having professionals present information to you that's brand new. Are there really herbs that can slow metastasis in your body? We know Sporanox inhibits angiogenesis, which is the spread of cancer cells. We know that certain other things do. And so it's so important that we learn when, we wake up in the morning, as Susie was talking about, that there are natural things that you can try. Your results may vary, folks, but there are natural things you can try, starting with a change of diet today. You got that? God bless you. Good to see you today. Bye-bye.